Keeney. I see you. I see you. You ready for the next day, Keeney? Huh?
Morning I left Clark State Fishing Lake where I spent the night last night. I am headed to Lyman, Colorado. I'm going to stay at a Harvest Host ranch. They're also a Bison Ranch. So that'll be a lot of fun. They've got power. I'm out of power. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've been using those EcoFlow that everybody made fun of me so much for getting. The big EcoFlow batteries are pretty amazing. I've had them going ever since I left North Carolina, powering a fridge in my trailer. You can see the trailer right back there. But I've been sleeping out of the back of the car, and then I used the trailer for all of our luggage and stuff. I put the camera equipment in the car and my laptop, but the clothes, food, all that stuff I put in that trailer because it doesn't matter if it gets knocked around a little bit. But anyway, so I'm heading to Lyman, Colorado this morning, and we'll film some bison out there, and then we'll continue on this current little escapade. Lyman's kind of a treat. I wasn't expecting to get done at Big Basin as soon as I did. The sun out here, look at that. Jeez. Anyway, you don't realize the diversity of ecosystems that are even out here in Kansas. But Kansas is a pretty big state, so it's got the plains and the open places, but within those plains you've got all these little canyons. Clark State Fishing Lake is basically like a big hole in the ground. When I went down there last night, it was late at night. All I could see was the road through my headlights, and then red blinky lights from all the wind turbines everywhere. It kind of ruins it for you, but the rest of the world was black. Then I started going down these cliffs and into the lake campground. Couldn't even see the water last night. It was pitch black down there. No reception. Kind of cool. No red blinky lights. The red blinkies are going to drive me insane out here at night. But anyway, heading west for more filming.
In 600 feet, you will arrive at your destination.
All right, so I'm at the Prairie Ridge Bison Ranch in Lyman, Colorado, and it's a great place. It's pouring rain now, so right now I'm sliding all over the place coming in here, but they've got an event hall here with pool tables and all sorts of fun stuff. A little area to sit. Little kitchenette back there, not kitchenette, full-size kitchen, sorry. Restrooms, and there's a bedroom right there. So I'm getting out of the back of the truck or Tahoe for a little bit. But I'll be filming out here tonight and tomorrow. So it may be a little bit Saturday morning. I don't have to be in Denver until Saturday evening. So this is gonna be a fun little side adventure, and
We'll learn a little more about Prairie Ridge Bison Ranch, or Buffalo Ranch. Bison, buffalo, same animal.
I'm Ray Teeman. This is my wife, Debbie. Together we're Prairie Ridge Buffalo Ranch. We've been here in Lyman, Colorado, running buffalo for about the last 23 years now. We started in 1999. I was an ag lender. My wife was a school teacher, which she still is, retired and keeps going back. But yeah, but she's a school teacher.
I'm Sean Bennett. I was a Colorado State Trooper, assigned to this drug interdiction task force here in Colorado. I traveled throughout the state, but I was stationed in Lyman coming out of the academy. Being a buffalo rancher, I guess it brings with it a certain, I don't know, a wild nature that you didn't know you had. You get to have a part, you get to play a part in an iconic animal repopulating North America, and to be around the animals and to see them, you understand it. And it's really hard, because a lot of people just look out there and it's a four-legged animal and they don't realize that there's much more to it. I mean, you got years of evolution that have created what that animal is, and that animal is designed for this country, this North American continent. It is designed for it. It is probably the most capable animal on the planet by its region. And you get to watch that firsthand, and it changes you. And you get to be up close and personal with them. You get to see that every one of them has its own unique personality. And, I grew up on a cattle ranch, so there's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of things that are completely different. If you go out into my pens and try to treat my buffalo like you would cattle and shove them down an alley or something like that, you're going to start a fight more often than not. If you go out there and let buffalo be buffalo and make them think it's their idea, use that curiosity that they have against them, and make them do things you want them to do because they think they want to do it, it's the easiest way to work with them.
Still going inside here with her?
Whatever you want to do.
It's gonna happen right here, right?
Yep. I want her on that wall.
But she's not gonna charge enough.
No, she's too young. She's not really mean. What I want to do is get her calm. This morning we had a guy that's wanting to fill his freezer. He failed on his elk hunting and deer hunting expedition during the fall. We're coming into springtime now. We don't do hunts during the springtime, mostly because of our rotational grazing with our herd here locally, so we don't have pastures available to put buffalo in. The only option he had is what we call a pin shoot, and basically what that entails is we sort the buffalo off of the pen. I don't shoot the buffalo in the pen with other buffalo. I make them be by themselves. That way I don't stress out the other animals. Hey. I spent 2 years of my life keeping these things alive. I want them to be successful. I want them to thrive. I want them to be stress-free. I want them to be happy and parasite-free. I want all of those things for them. And at the end of that 2 years, I have to butcher them. They have to go away. And the reason they have to do that is because that's how this ranch functions. If I saved every buffalo that I ever had, I would starve the other half to death because I wouldn't be able to afford to pay for food to feed them or rent grass to feed them. I wouldn't have that ability. So sometimes those buffalo have to move on so that the others can survive. And that's how Mother Nature does it as well. I mean, you take buffalo and you throw them out into the wild country. I mean, they're going to have predation. They're going to have whatever it is that maintains the safety and the healthy herd. Because if you don't maintain that, eventually you end up with a bunch of buffalo that aren't buffalo anymore. The shot that I'm taking, and the reason I cut the throat so quickly is because what I'm doing is I'm taking the crash plate. So right where the big knuckle that secures the skull onto the body, I'm taking that shot in here because I don't want it running around bleeding out in this environment. In the pasture, I'll take a heart-lung shot every time. I want the body to bleed out. That way the meat is better. It's better quality. Whenever you butcher an animal, you always bleed them out. The less blood I have in the meat, the better.
Is there any truth about as far as an animal running prior to getting killed? Do you get that blood running
Yes and
through
no.
the meat?
Yes and no. So on buffalo, what you're dealing with is what she was doing in here is not a run. It looks like a run because that's faster than a cow runs. That's not a run. When a buffalo runs, it's a run. I mean, it's 40 miles an hour flat out going down through, over, whatever.
Okay.
What I'm more concerned with in here is her crashing into gates and busting herself up. I don't know if you saw, she actually bloodied her nose running into this gate. That's why I was more willing to take this headshot coming at me versus the one going away, or the one sideways to me. Reason is because the more we do that, the more amped up she's going to get. She doesn't have to be running to get that adrenaline dump, to get that pump, that lactic acid, if you will, all of those hormones, everything kicking into her bloodstream to defend herself. She starts banging her face on stuff, it's going to happen much quicker than if she's out of full run. So the moment she starts hitting anything, we got to get her down. It's one of those. I don't know if you've ever done antelope. Antelope are probably the most notorious for it. If I have an antelope that's been running around all day trying to breed something, and then I shoot him and we gut shoot him and he runs another 500 yards, you're going to deal with some tainting, because now not only is he tired, he's already got all of that expenditure of energy, but now you also injure him. Now his body's starting to dump stuff in to supplement for it, and what it does is it typically makes the meat tougher. So we try to get them that's why we like to do our hunts out in the pastures. It's a much calmer environment.
You don't understand the value of a herd animal until you see buffalo in a herd. Every buffalo in that herd has a job. Every one of them has a responsibility. And as you take that one buffalo out of the pen, she's more than willing to go, and but she also thinks the rest of the herd's following her. Once I get her in the pen by herself, she's a little bit anxious because the rest of the buffalo aren't there. The one who's looking out for food, the one who's watching for the cats, the one who's watching for the dogs, whatever it is, those buffalo aren't around her. So her security setting decreases, which makes her more anxious. So whenever you're doing a pen shoot with a buffalo by itself in a pen, they're a little bit more anxious in that situation than they would be out in a pasture. The biggest reason is out in a pasture, they don't know where they're at necessarily, and they go look for buffalo, so they'll wander. Well, if you're in a mile-long stretch of pasture, they're going to walk the fences. Primarily, the first thing they do is go walk all the fences, start smelling around and seeing where the buffalo are at. And once they identify where that's at, they're going to try to figure out how to get from where they're at by themselves back to that buffalo group.
And the reason you did it here is because the herd's
out in our hunt pasture, and this pasture over here is too big, so we would get stuck in it. And the other thing is we want to be able to get this because it's, borderline June. I mean, bone temperature on a buffalo, what you're wanting to do is get bone temperature down to 60 degrees within 12 hours. Well, you're trying to do that through this much meat. So in order to do that, I need cold. So November, December, when it's 10 degrees out here, I have 2 or 3 hours to get it into a processor, to get him cut it down into smaller chunks to put into a cooler. You do this out here in June on a 80-degree day, we're running out of time. The meat is not cooling down until it's in a cooler. And if the bones doesn't get down below 60 degrees, it'll do what they call bone souring, and bone souring will start tainting meat.
There's people who would say me hunting buffalo is, terrible. The problem is I have to move those buffalo. I have to, or I need to reduce the number of buffalo I have. If I reduce and everybody else reduces, well, we're no longer at 750,000. The the one who just don't agree with this at all, they're the ones who provide the checks and balances. They're the ones that make me relook at what I'm doing on this ranch and do it better, do it more efficient, do it cleaner, whatever it is. And I think as we kind of graduate, through the next 2 decades, that we require all of that. We require the people with the interest in the bison world, the people who see these animals as the iconic animal they are and want to preserve them. If we wouldn't have had people who wanted to preserve them back in 1850, we would not have them.
When we first started out, you know, we didn't know how we were going to market our animals. You know, we really had no idea what we were going to do.
The old days of just doing one thing and being really good at it is not necessarily enough to sustain a ranch, especially when you start adding employees and families that you're supporting off of the ranch. So one of the things we've done here at the ranch is we've added, you know, with more manpower, obviously we need to create more income for the ranch. So a lot of things we've done, we started doing summer tours with agritourism.
And we take them out on a wagon out to the pasture to see the animals, and we feed them the animals cow cake and answer questions, and it's just such an experience. Everyone says like they've never experienced before, getting up close and personal with the bison.
The other thing we do is we do hunts for our animals during the winter. So we do a meat heifer, a meat bull, and then a herd bull hunt. And we use that to supplement our quarter halves and wholesales. So, you know, animals start getting too big, you know, you want to keep those numbers manageable. So that's one of the things we came up with to do that, is the hunts.
Last fall, we decided, we started actually in August, of doing Harvest Host.
It brings campers into our ranch. They get to see the buffalo. They get to experience what it is in eastern Colorado. They get to see firsthand what we're doing every day. I mean, obviously we don't stop working to entertain them. They're just staying here, but they get to see it. They get to see the buffalo.
Harvest Host is where you're a member. You must be a member of Harvest Host. And there's right now, I think, around 3,500 hosts throughout the United States and Canada. And what they are, they're typically ranchers or vineyards or wineries or anything like that. I think even churches, and there's places that have where people can dry camp. And so we decided, well, we might try being a host, and we thought maybe that would be an avenue to draw in some additional people for the store. And we just started in August, and we're seeing already, we're getting 4 or 5 guests per night.
So how many acres is this one?
This pasture, 640 acres. It's what we do. We use this is where we do our hunts, and then we do the summer pasture here. We have this is where we do the tour too. We do our tours to this pasture here. This is a leased pasture. Isn't that amazing? That calf just born. Like a top pasture. Hello, boy. This is the most friendliest bull right here. Look at that. He won't go down on the ground. He'd prefer to eat out of my hand. You're a pig. We've got 2 cows and 3 bulls left. The rest of them are gone. Whoop, there goes our cows. Everybody's, well, they're all gonna go. Ah, he's tempted. You know, I don't think they'll bother you, but I don't want to find out.
Neither do I.
That's why everybody asked me about when I walk through this herd, you know. I wouldn't. I don't think they'd bother me. I think I could walk through the middle of them. But what if I'm wrong? There ain't enough forgiveness out here, you know. Man, look at the pond. Filled it up. That thing ran over.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
It's the first time you've had water for a while.
Our spring here is dried up. This pasture feeds from a spring that's up by the house. It comes underground, and it's the only water source in here other than pond water. And last year we got a rain, a good rain in about a 3-inch in May, and it filled all our ponds up, and they were just now getting low.
Yeah.
And so now this rain came this week, and so we're starting, because if I can fill my ponds in the spring of the year, it would carry me through the summer. Otherwise, we would have to haul water and move them out of this pasture. It's the only access to water we have. I don't think it was died in childbirth. Tag number. Fine, you know.
Any type of ranching, you're going to have losses one way or the other. Some of them you wish you could control that you can't. The other night, we've been in a drought here in eastern Colorado for a good 2 years. So every time a cloud builds up, we're praying that it drives right over the top of us and floods out my road. I mean, that's really what I'm wanting, and it was no different last night. We had a big thunderhead rolling in that was dropping 1.5 inches an hour, and I'm just sitting there the entire time. I'm looking at it, praying that it hits the whole ranch. And you don't even think about it. You spend all this time wanting rain and wanting the thunderstorm, and you finally get it. And then the next morning you go out to see if it's damaged any of your fences or washed anything out that was important for the buffalo. And lo and behold, you find a dead cow and a dead baby. And you have to investigate. I mean, what killed her? You have to kind of know. If it's something really strange, I would send in for necropsy to find out so that I know. Maybe I have something in my pasture. On this specific one, it was obviously a lightning strike. A couple of telltale signs is the other animals, the predators out here won't even touch them. They absolutely veer away from them, want nothing to do with them. And the other one is the singe marks all the way down her neck. So whenever I see that, it's heartbreaking. I just lost a buffalo and a calf, basically. And the entire time I was praying for what killed her. I prayed for the rain. I wanted it all here, and sometimes Mother Nature gives you and sometimes Mother Nature takes away. So you just kind of have to accept that and do the right thing with the animal. I try to make the animal productive even in death. I actually have a mortality pit for our animals that do die, and then we sell the manure as a fertilizer from the ranch. I guess it's, for lack of better terms, it allows her to continue giving to something, even though she's not necessarily giving me calves or me entertainment. She's creating something better for somebody else, and it also moves items on the ranch. It makes her death a little bit more palatable, a little more valuable. So it's just sad to watch it, because the sad thing is if all of those cows out there, I could pick 2 of them that I would rather the lightning have got, but it happened to get one that I'm very fond of. So that's a little sad.